This is not breaking news. This is not a scandal. This is not about one person. There is a force in the world so quietly powerful, so utterly out of sight, that it controls more than governments, more than corporations. It controls your life and the lives of millions across the globe. This force doesn't care who you vote for, who you elect, or what your government says. It is a system, one that thrives on debt, one that forces nations to hand over their resources to the highest bidder, no elections, no transparency, but its impact is deeper than anything you've ever been told. What if I told you that this force exists, has existed for decades, and controls the economic fate of entire nations, yet you've probably never heard its name? This is the story of a global entity that doesn't just influence, it dominates. And it's far more dangerous than you realize. Stay with me, because this is the beginning of a journey that will unravel a vast, systemic failure hidden in plain sight. There's one thing you need to understand. It's not about individuals, not about personal greed. It's about a system designed to control entire nations, all without ever needing to answer to the people. This system doesn't care about democracy. It doesn't care about elections. It only cares about one thing: perpetuating its hold over global wealth. This is the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, an organization so deeply embedded in the global economy that its influence is felt everywhere, from your local supermarket to the most distant corners of the world. But this is not what it seems. The IMF isn't some benevolent entity swooping in to save nations in need. No, it's a financial enforcer. It exists to enforce one simple rule: keep the money flowing upwards. From developing nations to the financial centers of the world, from the poor to the rich, and it's all done under the guise of helping. Think about that. A system so entrenched in power, it doesn't need to justify itself. It doesn't need your vote. It just operates, and it operates with precision. So how does this work? Let's look closer, because understanding this is key to understanding what's really happening behind the scenes. It didn't happen overnight. It never does. The system I'm talking about didn't appear out of nowhere. It's been a slow, quiet transformation, one that's been happening right under our noses. And that's the most dangerous part. Change that happens too slowly is the hardest to notice. It's like the air thickening around you without you even realizing it, until it's too late. Remember a time when governments held more power? When decisions were made by elected officials who, at least in theory, were answerable to the people? That time is long gone. Today, we live in a world where the IMF wields more authority over national policies than any election ever could. The IMF didn't always have this power. In the past, nations could negotiate, could push back, but step by step, year by year, they lost their ability to resist. A few bad loans here, a few austerity programs there, and suddenly, entire countries are locked in cycles of dependency. And now, it's normal. We've accepted it. A government cuts pensions, fires teachers, privatizes hospitals, all at the behest of the IMF. We're used to it. We've normalized the slow erosion of sovereignty. And by the time we notice, it's already too late to turn back. The IMF's influence doesn't just sit in the background. It causes real, tangible crises. And we've seen them unfold again and again. Take the case of Jamaica. In the 1,980 seconds, a country already struggling with debt, the IMF steps in, offering a lifeline, promising stability, but with strings attached: austerity, a devaluation of currency, cuts in social spending. What did that look like on the ground? Hospitals running out of medicine, schools without books, teachers fired, poverty rising while the debt ballooned. What's worse? Jamaica wasn't just left to suffer, it was forced to continue paying the IMF while essential services crumbled. The IMF's role in this wasn't to stabilize the country. It was to ensure the foreign creditors were paid no matter the human cost. And this wasn't an isolated incident. This is the pattern, and it's been playing out for decades. A country in need doesn't get saved. It gets pushed deeper into dependence. What happens when a nation can't pay its debts? Well, they borrow more, and the cycle continues. How does the IMF keep its grip on these nations? It's not magic. It's a carefully constructed system, one that works in the shadows, out of sight, but with consequences that can be felt everywhere. You see, the IMF isn't just a financial institution. It's a machine built to extract wealth from the poorest countries and funnel it upwards to the wealthiest. And the mechanics are chillingly simple. Debt. When a nation is struggling, facing a currency collapse, a trade imbalance, or a financial crisis, it turns to the IMF. The IMF offers a lifeline, but with a price tag attached. It imposes its conditions: austerity, privatization, deregulation. All the while, the nation's debt continues to climb. But here's the kicker. While the IMF demands austerity from the government, it ensures that the foreign creditors, the multinational corporations, the banks, they get paid. Always. No matter the cost to the population. So who benefits? The wealthy, the powerful, the corporations. Who pays? The people, the working class citizens. The ones whose public services are cut, whose wages are slashed, whose lives are shattered. The IMF is not saving these countries. It's feeding off them, extracting their wealth and leaving them more indebted, more desperate, and more reliant on foreign powers than ever before. The IMF doesn't stop at one country. Its reach extends across continents, across decades. And every time, the pattern is the same. Look at Argentina in the 1,990 seconds. The IMF steps in, urging privatization, deregulation, all in the name of economic growth. What happened? Argentina's economy collapsed. The currency crashed. Banks closed their doors. Incomes evaporated. The middle class was decimated. The IMF had promised prosperity, but the result was disaster. The country was left with more debt, fewer resources, and an entire population in ruin. And Greece? The IMF's austerity programs imposed after the 2008 financial crisis were nothing short of catastrophic. Public services dismantled, wages slashed, healthcare collapsed. The youth unemployment rate soared past 50%. But the loans from international banks paid in full. And it didn't stop there. These same international banks that had lent to Greece were made whole, while the Greek people were left to pick up the pieces of an economy in tatters. This isn't an accident. It's a strategy designed to keep the flow of money from the global south to the global north. And every time, the cycle repeats. Now, let's take a moment, think about what this means for you, for the millions of people who aren't just statistics or numbers on a ledger. This system isn't just abstract economics. It's people. It's children who can't go to school because their country is broke. It's families who can't afford food because their currency has lost half its value overnight. It's the elderly, living in poverty because their pensions were slashed to pay foreign creditors. The IMF doesn't care about the impact on individuals. The IMF cares about the debt. The IMF cares about keeping the money flowing from your country's resources into the hands of the wealthiest institutions on earth. But you can make a difference. You can change the course of this system. When you understand what's happening, when you realize that this isn't about saving countries, but about controlling them, you hold the power to demand change. This isn't just someone else's problem. This is your world, too. And if we don't act, this cycle will only continue. This isn't just happening in one country. It's happening everywhere. The IMF's reach goes far beyond the borders of any single nation. The system it enforces affects the entire global economy. What happens in one country, whether it's Jamaica, Argentina, or Greece, ripples out when economies collapse, when governments are forced to cut services, when public goods are sold off to foreign investors. That's a story being played out across the globe. And it's not just local poverty that's the result. When a country's economy is weakened, it impacts the global market. It raises the cost of goods. It destabilizes financial systems. It fuels migration crises. It creates the conditions for global unrest. The IMF, though, continues as if it's not part of the problem. It continues its help while spreading these consequences further, deeper, until they touch all of us. The system doesn't just keep countries in debt. It spreads financial instability, creating a world where the rich keep getting richer while the rest of us are left scrambling for stability. The question now is, what happens next? Where does this system take us? We have three possible paths. 1, Asterisk, asterisk, adjustment, asterisk, asterisk. In this scenario, some nations find a way to push back, to renegotiate their debts, to escape the cycle of IMF-imposed austerity. But even those successes come with a cost. The IMF's hold is weakened, but the global economic system remains rigged. The pressure is still there, waiting for the next crisis. 2. Asterisk, asterisk, erosion, asterisk, asterisk. This is the most likely path. Slowly, more and more countries buckle under the weight of the debt. The IMF continues its program, more countries follow, and sovereignty erodes further. Governments become more helpless in the face of IMF demands. Inequality grows. The rich nations stay on top, and the rest of the world sinks deeper into dependence. 3. Asterisk, asterisk, rupture, asterisk, asterisk. The most dramatic of outcomes, a country or group of countries finally breaks free from the IMF's control. They default on their debts, abandon the policies, and reject the system altogether. This could spark a massive economic rupture, a global financial crisis unlike any we've seen. But if it happens, it would be a true rupture of the old system, one that might lead to an entirely new world order. Which path will we take? The IMF's grip is tight, but there is still a chance for change. Whether that change is peaceful or catastrophic, only time will tell. There is no comfort in this. There is no easy resolution. The IMF system is designed to perpetuate itself, to keep countries trapped in debt, to keep the money flowing upwards, to keep the rich powerful, and the rest of us fighting for scraps. This is modern financial colonialism. And it's a system that thrives on your ignorance, your indifference. But now you know. Now you see how the game is played. And once you understand the rules, you have a choice to make. You can continue to ignore it, to let the cycle go on, to stay comfortable in your complacency, or you can demand change. You can push for a system that doesn't prioritize debt and extraction over people's lives. The question is, will you choose to stand on the side of those who control, or on the side of those who are controlled? The IMF is a tool of domination, but the resistance is real, and it's growing. You know the truth now. What will you do with it? Stay informed. Share this video, because the world needs to wake up, and if we don't act now, the cycle will continue and the consequences will be catastrophic.